Celo is based on two core values. The first is a belief that everybody has a unique purpose, and the second is a belief that everyone is connected.
Celo's mission is to build a monetary system that creates conditions of prosperity for all. And what we see today is 1.7 billion people in the world who are unbanked or underbanked.
The way we kind of look at this is, let's start where are the biggest problems, where we can have the biggest impact pretty much immediately. But ultimately, it's about building kind of a new infrastructure that can benefit everyone.
One thing that's quite unique is that this is a mission-first company that then looks to use the right technology versus a technology-first company that tries to find a product-market fit.
It's rare to be able to kind of do very difficult cutting-edge computer science that ultimately has a research component to it that at the same time has that level of impact.
You really shouldn't need to know how crypto works. You shouldn't need to have any understanding of blockchain to be able to have access to the benefits that sending and receiving stable value provides.
When you see some of the problems, like very high fees for even just sending money to a friend, or the lack of credit scores prohibiting people from getting access to a loan, or even just the ability to send money across borders, there's a lot of potential to improve that and to make sending money as easy as sending a text.
We're trying to create a global monetary system that works for everybody. And in order to do that, we have to make sure everyone's perspectives are brought together, because everyone adds a unique and different perspective.
Office culture is incredibly open, warm, fun, whether it's a technical decision or just banter. Everyone brings so much to the table. We have folks who've accomplished incredible things in a variety of domains, whether it's global development, whether it's scaling startups, running large organizations. Everyone really brings something different.
Not only is everyone here really smart and really intelligent, but we're all united by this kind of core mission to really help people around the world.
Hey Judy, you're muted.
Oh my. Oh my. So I was talking to myself. This is live. Wonderful. Let me restart. Thank you all, live audience. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining me today. I'm Judy Piper. I'm one of the engineering leads at Celo and also the host for this Celo Tech Talk series. Celo is a mobile-first full-stack blockchain platform with a mission to build a financial system that creates the conditions of prosperity for everyone. We recognize this is an ambitious mission, and we are building Celo with our Celo end users and Celo community. For this reason, we started the Celo Tech Talk series to share and spread the Celo technology knowledge with the growing Celo community. March is a Women's History Month, and this week we kicked off the first part of the Celo Tech Talk special events celebrating Women's History Month. On Tuesday, I had a lot of fun talking to four fantastic Valora experts at Celo who are leading Valora app development and Celo user adoption. Today, I'm super excited to have another amazing developer experience experts at Celo to talk about how the team at Celo is empowering and supporting the developer community, building dApps on Celo. Welcome, ladies. Welcome,
Hey,
Amy, Barbara, Ila.
Hey everyone. Thanks, Judy. Excited to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Before starting the panel discussion and Q&As, I'd like to ask each panelist to introduce yourself briefly, and including how you got to work on Celo and your current role at Celo. Should we go clockwise? Amy, you want to go first?
Sure, I can kick it off. So, hi, I'm Amy. I'm a product on the product circle here at C Labs. Prior to this, I worked for several years as an engineer at a large tech company, and was really yearning to move into the startup space. So during my career search, I had put a major emphasis on finding a company that had a really strong social or environmental mission that I really resonated with. So to give some context, prior to working on Celo, I had zero exposure to blockchain. I didn't even own any cryptocurrency. So my understanding at that point was largely just the osmosis effect of living in Silicon Valley and hearing about the hype. But what really drew me to C Labs and Celo, and that was that mission-oriented approach. And coming from it from more of like a solutions product approach of redesigning a more inclusive financial system and whatever tooling was most the best to serve that cause. And blockchain just happened to be that. So I really admired how that contrasted with a lot of the larger ecosystem where people built this really cool technology and were like, okay, how do we find product market fit? What can we do with this technology? This was really a company that was very mission focused and taking more of that as the approach. And so that really checked my boxes, like C Labs, early stage company, very focused on the social aspect. And then I joined originally as an engineer, worked mostly on the contracts and primitive side. So I contributed largely to our governance process and identity. So the phone number mapping verification process that we have within the protocol. And then at the beginning of this year, I transitioned into product management because I really wanted to operate at the intersection of business and engineering to help connect the dots of like what we should be building to support the developers in our larger ecosystem.
Yeah, and then if you're interested in seeing Amy's previous work on governance, we have a Celo Tech Talk with that as well. So check it out. And Ila?
Yeah, I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Ila. I'm an engineer on our DevX team. I've been at C Labs for about 7 months at this point, I think, so still pretty new here. And actually, like Amy, came in with absolutely no blockchain experience or background and like no connection to the crypto space at all. So it's been a really fun like whirlwind getting to know everything and just, yeah, kind of understanding what the space is about and especially like what Celo is all about. Before this, yeah, I worked at a data science startup doing software engineering stuff for them, which, yeah, it was itself very interesting, but very different than kind of the world of engineering that I'm in now. As far as why Celo or why C Labs, again, actually very similar to Amy. For me, the mission was really the strongest draw. So the mission and honestly meeting people that were working at C Labs that were so excited about serving other people in this sense or building technology that would hopefully provide some benefit to others. That to me was like, it was both inspiring and it just felt like a place that I wanted to be and people that I wanted to be working with. So that was a huge draw for it for me. And of course, getting to work on, yeah, something just like really new and exciting and, you know, getting to work on cutting edge technology in a space that I, you know, knew nothing about was an exciting opportunity and hard to turn down. Yeah, that's about it. So I'll pass it to Barbara.
Hey everyone, my name is Barbara. I currently lead the developer experience engineering team at C Labs. I've been in crypto like professionally for about 5 years now. And so I've had the opportunity to work on a number of chains, both like Bitcoin forks and like Ethereum, like derived, and that has been a lot of fun and able to see just, you know, the different
focuses that Change take, and kind of due to just like being exposed to a lot of different ones. A couple of years ago, I, together with a couple of my friends, we started a company called Sumo, where we worked on cross-chain interoperability. And that's actually how we first got to know like the Celo platform. And it was really fun to work on some projects with them. And so when we decided that we really enjoyed working with a lot of chains, but we really also wanted to focus on building and like investing in one ecosystem per se. And so Celo was one of the ones that we really liked. We were very drawn to the mission. Many of us on the team come from like an immigrant background. And so the financial inclusion mission of Celo was something that we really resonated with. And we really felt like that was really cool that a company like said that they were going to do something and were actually working towards it. And so yeah, we decided to join the C Labs team to work on Celo. And so we've been just working on that. And it's been a lot of fun just to see all the different tools, right, that have been available and how can we use them here at Celo, and also vice versa, right? Like, are there things that we can do that help the broader ecosystem? So I'm really excited to be part of this team. And yeah, blockchain is fun.
And Barbara, and you did several building dApps on Celo Tech Talk. So I think the folks who are interested in deep dives on the building dApps on Celo, we have Celo Tech Talks as well. All right. Without further ado, let's get started. And I prepared some questions for you to answer, but I'll pause the time from time to time to share live audience's questions with you as well. And here you go. First question. How are the types of work and project the developer experience team focus on these days?
Yeah, I can kick it off. So the DevX charter is largely focused on providing developers the tooling and resources they need to build on Celo. So I kind of think of it as that support layer. That's, you have the platform, and then you have the contracts and primitives, but then on top of that is this layer of support to interact with the blockchain. So we have software development kits to interact with contracts, command line tooling, documentation, and we also work really closely with developer relations to provide things like tutorials and bootstrapped applications to get developers started and building dApps. In addition to that, we also help with a lot of partner integrations at this moment. So some of the gaps we have in the larger ecosystem is on and off ramps for our currencies. So we help with integrations of cash in, cash out, and exchanges, as well as integration with other tooling for developers. A really good example of this is more recently the Graph, which is coming. Our integration is coming out soon, which is like an indexing service that developers can use in their applications as well. So really excited about that.
Barbara or Ila, do you want to add to the types of work and project you folks are working on these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think Amy covered that pretty well in terms of like a great summary of all the different tools. So yeah, it's really like, how do you connect to the different layers? How do you access the functionality of the blockchain, as well as how do you access other things that people have built as well? And so just really, it's just all the tools that connect, right? So what are all your connecting pieces? Those are the things that DevX works on.
Ila?
I don't have anything to add. I think yeah, those two covered it really well.
Yeah, and maybe to add, like, that's what we do currently, but we're also thinking of ways like, you know, I think one piece of like financial inclusion not only includes access to financial vehicles, but also like, how do we make development more accessible? How do we make like development inclusive, where you don't have to have like powerful machines to do certain things? You don't have to have like really fast internet connection, things like that. So that's also something that we're looking at like further in the roadmap after we have a foundational tool set built for everybody. What can we do now to like optimize that? And so that's something we've been thinking about as well. And of course, we like welcome any ideas that people have. We thought about how do we run virtual machines that people can access? How do we like make all our packages smaller? How do we split those up? What are the key things? Those are some of the themes that we've been exploring.
Continuation of that, the first question. What are the projects that you've worked on thus far and were supported that made that impression on you and you found it most exciting or inspiring, and why?
Wait, sorry. I'm not sure I understand the question. So like the types of projects that we worked at Celo specifically?
Yes, Celo. Yeah, in your current role.
Oh, in current role. Okay. Give me one second. We have many projects, so I have to think through really quick what that would be. I guess that probably the biggest one that we kind of like shepherd is Contract Kit. Contract Kit is a wrapper around Web3 primarily, but it allows easy access to the contracts that are that like power the Celo platform as well. And there's a lot of really interesting things that you can do with it. But we're also exploring, like similarly, like with this developer inclusion, like what can we do with this particular tool? And I think there's a lot of really interesting things that we can do with it that would be really exciting.
Other projects, Amy or Ila, you want to talk about?
I can jump in. I think one thing that I found really exciting was it was sort of a larger project early on, but working on the Rosetta spec. So this is a universal spec that a lot of different blockchains have been implementing. And so doing that for CUSD was really exciting to kind of dig into the blockchain layer a bit and understand how other people who are designing services on top of that would be interacting with our blockchain as well. In addition to that, I would say like our recent focus on DAppKit has been really interesting to me. I think, to be honest, has been maybe a bit unloved for a little while. And so us as a team, like really digging in and trying to understand what other people are going to go through when they're using the tools that we use has been super helpful and really illuminating to the kinds of experiences that we want to be providing to people, even if we're not quite doing that yet. So kind of giving us the targets of like what we want to be hitting in the near future. And yeah, I think other than that, there's just been a lot of work across different pieces, trying to kind of bring everything up to speed. So I think, Barbara's even been doing amazing work on our docs and like getting, we've all been working on getting tutorials in good shape and just getting, just kind of building the experience that people will have on top of the platform. But it's, I guess, maybe more than certain other circles, like harder to just point to like, oh, we just are working on the blockchain, which is super important in this big kind of project. This is like, there's so many pieces that come together for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to add, for the thing that I'm most excited just to build off what Ela said is some of the work we're currently doing, which is really around developing that developer user story for wallet integrations. I think for a while we've had this gap. We have DAppKit, and I'm not sure if the viewers are familiar with what that is, but it's how mobile applications can integrate with our Valora wallet, which is a mobile wallet. And that's been really awesome, but there is still that gap of like, what do you do when you're developing a browser or desktop-based application? How do you interact either with Valora as a mobile wallet or with some sort of browser or desktop-based wallet? And there's been a lot of exciting developments there. There are community members who are working more on wallets that are available in desktop and browser and web-based wallets. As well as we are working internally around Wallet Connect so that you can interact with Valora through those like cross-device experience. And in addition to that, kind of pulling together that larger story and providing an option for users dApp developers to pull in each of these wallets into like one cohesive modal. So we actually have, if you check out the Celo tools repo, there's now a React hook so that can you can pull in these various wallets, and we're hoping to really iterate on this so that there's a clear story around how dApp developers can integrate all of these.
Yeah, and I wanted to add with this that, that it's a very much like we want to make sure that everyone knows that we welcome and like really encourage people to contribute if this is something that you feel very passionately about, or even if you have questions and you want to know how it works. We want to hear from you. And we also right now, if you're not familiar, we have our Make It Mobile Hackathon right now on Gitcoin. And along with that, we've also been launching our bounty program. And so that's a way for us to, really like for everyone else to engage with the code, to contribute, as well as, receive like rewards for that. And so if there's something that you think would be interesting, or you want to get involved, you're a developer, but maybe you don't want to build something yet, like you can help contribute to the platform. And so we'd love to have you join us and work towards building things that, you would want and like other developers would want as well.
What is the first PR or the issue got taken by the Gitcoin, the hackathon?
Actually, we do know this one. This one was to fix the rendering of the formatting of a number that was being part of our Celo CLI. And so that was actually really great bounty, because it helped us learn about our process and what can we do to make the development experience better for everybody. And so what I thank the contributors for that, for their patience and their willingness to like see that bounty through. And it, that was a really good experience for us and hopefully for the bounty hunter.
And a shameless plug, we are hiring, yes? Barbara,
yes, we are. We are hiring across the board. You can go to, I believe it's clabs.co/careers or /jobs. I may have gone to that too many times. So to help share that link, so we're hiring, from full stack engineers to, like senior blockchain, cryptography. I think we have some for mobile engineering as well. And so, I think one thing that, sorry, I might be skipping ahead to some questions, but one thing that I really like to impress upon people is that, so a lot of times we talk about like Web 2 versus Web 3, but honestly, there's so much crossover between the technologies and the skills that you have that you don't have to be like, oh my God, I'm not like a Web 3 developer, I like don't know blockchain. But if you're a developer, right, you build things, there's a place for you in blockchain, and like your skills are needed. And like I think Ela's a great example, right? She said she's new to blockchain. But she's like a great engineer, and like those are the skills that we need. And she's like a great person too, and like we like great people. So.
You did skip ahead, but I'm going to ask other panelists chance to answer. What are the key differences between the Web 2.0 and the decentralized distributed system like Celo that you found it to be? Maybe we can start with you, Ela, since you actually came from the Web 2.0 environment to join CLab.
Yeah, that's true. I would say, so I guess it kind of depends if we're talking about like building on it or working on the platform, right? So I would say like if you're building a dApp on this, then maybe it's shifting your paradigm a little bit. Like you're changing the backend, you're changing the database. At the end of the day, you're using the blockchain, but a lot of the other ways of building your app around it, the ways that you're thinking about your user experience are often similar. Of course, there are a few, caveats, like maybe you need to prepare your users for things like transaction times, and maybe there are certain flows that you would need to think about in this like decentralized flow, like what's going to happen here that's a little bit different. I think from a different side of things, like maybe coming to this from Web 2, I think that it's a newer and maybe faster changing space to some extent. So what that means is just that maybe there's less like Stack Overflow posts for the specific bug that you're running into at a certain point, or less people have run into the exact thing that you are seeing, which is both cool because you're kind of at the edge of something, you're exploring something new, but it is also sometimes tricky because it feels like something that you're blocked on and you're just like, where is the solution to this? Like, how do I actually figure out what to do in this case? But yeah, I guess maybe the last piece that I would add to this is I think that there are still high setup costs involved with working on Web3 to the extent that, you know, for someone who's starting in blockchain for the first time, there's a lot of different components that you have to sort of understand just to get started. So maybe it's, you know, how do you run a node locally, and how do you have a basic understanding of keys, and how do you figure out how to test things? And, you know, all of these feel like obstacles when you're getting started. I really hope that, and I think that this is one thing that, you know, we're working on at Celo or at C Labs as part of Celo, but making that setup process a bit easier and lowering those barriers to entry. So that's also something that I'm personally really excited about seeing in the coming weeks and months.
Do you want to add to the comment, Amy or Barbara? Maybe we can transition to like barriers to becoming building on Web 3.0 versus Web 2.0, because there's a lot to learn, right? But as a developer, using APIs on developing on top of like Web 2.0 versus still this onboarding process for the decentralized platform like Celo, it can be also tricky. So what are some of the work that we're doing for the developer experience team perspective to ease that barrier or to lower the barrier?
Yeah, I think just to build off what Ela mentioned, so like some of the like extra considerations that you have as a Web3 developer are like key management and blockchain connectivity. How do I connect to the blockchain? So some of the things that we are really focused on, how do we abstract that key management so you don't have to think about that as much? So being able to integrate with wallets that do this is kind of removes that piece a little bit and makes it much easier for dApp developers just to like almost what's the word I'm looking for, like hand off that responsibility to another application. So that's why we were really focused on this wallet integration story and making that really simple for dApp developers. For blockchain connectivity, this one is a little bit to wrap your head around of like, okay, I should be running a node so that I can connect to the larger network and use that as my almost sort of like my database. And so we've done a little bit of work around this and trying to make it as simple as possible. We have documentation on how to get your node up and running. We actually recently released AWS machine image so that it's a little bit simpler. You can get up and running a node more quickly, but also something I'm excited about is there are people in the community that if you're okay with compromising a little bit on a point of centralization, there are community members that are running nodes as a service. So Figment is one of these. They have something called the Data Hub and an API that you can interact with, so you can send requests through the nodes that they're running. And then there are some community members who are also making that API interaction a little bit more familiar to the Web2 API endpoints. So one of these is called like Tatum. And if you're just really focused on more of the transaction piece of blockchains, like sending more of like the financial transactions, they have APIs that make that much simpler and more familiar to a traditional HTTP as endpoint that you're familiar as a Web2 developer.
Yeah, you mentioned the Celo Data Hub by the Figment, so we're going to have another Celo Tech Talk on that as well in the first week of May. I want to switch the gear a little bit. Before we do that, do we have any live audience questions? doesn't look like it yet. So moving on to next part of the questions. So developer experience. Yes, we are all about empowering the devs developer community. But financial inclusion is at the heart of what we do. And for that aspect, what are the APIs and the key features that that you want to highlight more, or you want the developer community to Celo developer community to know more about? Are there key features or APIs that that you want them to think about it and get to know more?
Yeah, I think one of the key features, maybe not necessarily like a developer tool, but one thing to think about with the Celo platform is the emphasis on mobile that Celo has. And so one of those is the focus on like phone number privacy and being able to map like a complicated hash address to a phone number, which is, which is also like in a way, right? That's just like a set of numbers too, but it's a set of numbers that people are familiar with. And so that one, if, I think that's something that people would like to know about. Right now, Valora implements that, but that's also something that people can implement on their own. And that Otis is like the acronym for it. And I need to look up exactly like all the, it's like oblivious decentralized identifier service. Don't quote me on that, but something like that. And actually we had
I knew that too.
we had a tech talk Rossi gave a while ago that dives deep into that, and I think that's a great
he did a great job of it, explaining it. Amy or Ila, do you want to add to other features that you're aware that you want other Celo developers to know, like a community to know?
I would just echo the fact that it's a mobile chain, so you're accessing a whole different set of users when you're building dApps that, that work on mobile and that folks can use around the world on their light devices, right? And then as far as like the tools that are offered by DevX, I would just encourage folks to look into ContractKit, which would let them get or let them use our core contracts. So the Celo core contracts, including like stable tokens, so CUSD. I saw a question about C-Euro, so that actually soon as well as all of our different core contracts that are part of that. And I would say coming soon would be, as Amy and Barbara have mentioned as well before, in this area of like wallet integrations. So Wallet Connect coming in the near future would be something to look out for.
We have a question from the audience. Musyev. I think maybe I'm like pronouncing in a German way. What's the status of Celo UR, and will you be creating stable coins for other fiat currencies? We would be answering these questions in some other forum. Yes, the Celo UR, the governance proposal is passing, I think, as we speak, and so it's coming. Unless Amy or Barbara, you want to comment more on the Celo UR?
Yeah, I can. So there's a couple more steps beyond that. So we are in the process of updating the contracts and deploying those to support the stable token, the new stable token, and then we also need to deploy the oracles and then actually activate it with the reserve. So that's like, I believe, a 2 more week process. And then as we speak, we are working on all the tooling to interact with the stable currencies. So the command line tooling, being able to actually faucet C-Euros for development in our test network as well. So I would say in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and
stay tuned.
Yeah, also want to point out that if you are curious to, like the status of Celo as well as any other proposals that go forth, there is the Celo-proposals repository on GitHub. So like all that is public, and so you can follow along with like very specifics if that's something that you wanted to dive into.
Or even make your own proposals.
Yeah, and we also have the Signal mailing newsletter as well, so you can like receive updates on that.
And then the Celo, the forum.celo.org is also the good place to see all of the governance proposals or the updates on the platform itself. No other questions from the audience? Barry Betts, where do you hope that the development of the Celo platform is in 2 years from now, from the point of developers of Celo and external developers and backend users? From YouTube audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question, right? So basically, it's like, what's your roadmap? And that's actually something that we're going to be trying to flesh out in terms of like concrete. I think we all kind of have different right now goals of what that would look like exactly. But I know that for sure we want it to be like easy to build on, that the tools are available for people to build on mobile, that it's a paradigm that makes sense. I think in a lot of ways, right? Like the Ethereum community, for example, has like a plethora of tools and people like understand the ecosystem, and there's lots of different versions of and takes on tools that solve the same thing. I mean, for example, like Ganache versus Hardhat or something, right? And so, or like Ethers.js versus Web3, they are essentially like similar tools, but they're taking different approaches. And I think I'd love to see that in the Celo ecosystem as well. To me, a variety of tools signals like a healthy ecosystem. It's people approaching the problem with different solutions. And I think there's many different ways to solve a problem. And the more avenues that we can have, the better it is for everybody. Like choice is an important thing when you're developing. And so I think that was something overall that I'd really love to see, is just there's a lot of, it's not just like C Labs, for example, like shepherding this tool process. I'd love to see like, other groups that are, they have the, the tool to interact with smart contracts, or like, another group of people have like the tool to like do testing. And so I'd love to like see that grow and just have like a lot of people contributing both to the platform and to the tooling itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna plus one that I would, in several years, I would hope we would be like the choice for decentralized mobile development for financial applications, but also like plus one to hoping to see more. We have a lot of interest coming and development for dApps being built on top of Celo, but would love to see more of the community starting to contribute to the actual like platform and tools and protocol itself. And we're like starting to see a little bit more of that, which is really exciting. So the team that's building the Celo web wallet, they actually did like a very minimal version of Ethers.js wrapper, Ubiswap, which is a fork of SushiSwap on Celo. They actually ported an open source Celo version of Hardhat. And so really, like, that's really encouraging to see like some of the community coming to support the tooling in the ecosystem, and hoping to see more of that as well.
Excellent. So we had a lot of Celo developer community growing, right? We've seen the growth happening. So there are many projects that we've been talking about, and including Celo Data Hub from the Figment and other projects. So what are the other projects that impressed you or you want to see that's happening in the future? Is there a favorite project that you want to talk about? Okay, let's not say favorite project because we don't want to give the impression that we're preferring one project versus the other. Maybe I could ask each of you just talk about one project that the other panelists didn't talk about. Amy, since you talked about the data hub, I would still like to ask you to talk about another project. So should I go with you, Ila, first?
Sure. Yeah, I would say one that I think was featured maybe a few weeks ago or came to my attention then is Impact Market. They're also really an active project in the community. Again, this is not saying like that I have favorites, but I think I just particularly appreciate their mission aligned project. Like I think what they're doing is really in the spirit of Celo, like bringing financial prosperity to everybody. So it's a really cool project. I think their technology is really cool. I think their use case makes sense for Celo. And yeah, I think in general, I'm particularly excited by apps that align with our mission and in some way are working on empowering other people.
Yeah, I've so many that I'm really excited about. So I'm trying to.
Well, you should mention them all.
Okay. Well, I guess like 3 really come to mind. So like, been really excited seeing kind of like the rise of Moola and Uniswap recently. Like providing the first decentralized exchange and lending markets to the platform, which will really provide the building blocks for a lot of other applications. And then the other one that comes to mind is Toko, which has done some partnership work with C Labs. And through Celo, they've been able to provide instant payments for mobile micro work. So this provides a lot of unique earning opportunities. And they've had a lot of success with their pilots in Kenya. So really cool to see various use cases, such as like an earning use case through Celo.
Barbara?
Yeah, I think there really are like a lot. In particular really like Impact Market. I think people have mentioned one. Maybe shout out to celohub.org for really like listing a lot of these projects. And like if you're curious to see all the different types of stuff that's being built on Celo, it's a really good place to visit and look and see. I actually love to just like look at it sometimes. I'm like, oh, there's new stuff that's popped up. This is like really exciting. And so that stuff from wallets to like earning, to, like decentralized finance applications, payments, and everything. So it's really exciting to see the ecosystem being built out.
What are the other projects that you haven't seen, but you wanna see that's happen in the future? Man, I wish we had this. Right?
Amy, do you want to go or do you want me to go? Okay, this is a quick one. It's nothing specific, but I would love to see even more apps developed in local communities that they're going to be impacting. So I think we're seeing a lot of apps coming out of like maybe, the Europe and the US right now, and it would just be really exciting. I think we're seeing some slowly developing in other markets, and just seeing that explode would be really exciting. So very general, but yeah, I'll pass back to Amy.
I was going to go back to like just hoping to see more developers contributing to the platform and tooling would be really exciting. As far as applications, so I am really passionate about environmentalism. So would love to see some ideas around tokenization there, and having like an app, kind of like a standout app in that area would be really cool.
Yeah, I think similar to that, right? Like I think it's like anything that translates into something in the real world, right? Like I think a really exciting exploration, as well as like, useful apps to people immediately around you. That's usually a lot of times like the best ideas, right? You don't have to have like some implementation of like derivatives or stocks or EFTs or whatever, right? For this to be a good application. The good applications are the ones that like you will use, right? And people will use. And it doesn't always have to be like a 2 million user market fit or something, right? Like, and I also personally would love to see more just creative like games, I guess. Like I think it's an interesting avenue to explore. And especially with kind of the rise of like the NFT craze. And I think there's a lot of useful things that you can do with it, not just like selling tweets or whatever.
You said it, lady. NFT.
I feel like you have to, right? If you don't, like, are you even broadcasting? If
That's
you don't
right.
are you even relevant?
So what type of the quick fun question? What type of NFT you wanna mint it first, if you would?
If I were to mint an NFT,
Yeah. Of course, this is Celo's like a first Celo Tech Talk series celebrating Women's History Month. That's also great, but
yeah, that would be cool to do something, celebrating women. Like, I don't know whether that be some like artwork or sign, like, I don't know if there's like memorabilia you can like tokenize or something. I think this whole like NFT thing is it's in the exploratory phase, and whether that ends up being useful or not kind of remains to be seen, and what people choose to do with it. And so I think at this point, like, it's fun to just play around with and like explore, like, what if we did this, what if we did that, and like there's some stuff that you could do, like, I don't know, with women focused things, how do you tokenize oh shoots, I should like mute and think about this and talk out loud to myself. That's how I
have an idea.
It's like all over the place. Oh, right? I'd love to hear yours, Judy. Yeah.
Because my idea is around like me being a mom and then having a child. And one idea is I want to have like a shared Celo Valorant, like early on, and have him start saving and having his own account. But since he's a minor, he's only 11 years old, maybe I can have his account under my account. But
like a trust.
With the trust, but then with the intention that, when he hits the certain age, like 16, and then he can download his own Valorant app, and I can transfer the fund that he earned, the mopping the floor and then doing the vacuuming and taking the trash out. I don't abuse my child, but like, that he's earning his pocket money, monthly allowance. That's one idea. And then another idea is like a trust fund, but with almost like inheritance. If anything happens to me, and your child could be also listed as a beneficiary.
Yeah, for sure. Or like college funds, I forget the number of the fund that you can do for that.
Right. Cool. Any other ideas? All right, moving on. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the Celo developer community members?
Yeah, shameless plug again. Make It Mobile Hackathon is going on. It's been going on since the first or second week of March, ends April 14th. So even though we're kind of like nearing the end, you can still join and submit a project. I'd love to have you there, as well as the bounties that are being posted alongside on Gitcoin. I'd love to have you contribute. You can join our Discord as well, ask questions, interact with us, poke around in the code on GitHub. And so there's really a lot of different ways to contribute and be part of the Celo ecosystem as a developer.
Mm.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention some recommendations for getting started. So I would recommend downloading Valora so you can observe some of the cool functionality that we have in action. So things like our phone number mapping, stable tokens. We have profile pictures that are stored through our off-chain storage protocol, which is really cool and pretty new. If for inspiration, go to celohub.org, which Barbara previously mentioned. It really aggregates a lot of the like known projects within the Celo ecosystem. You can check out our developer guides on our Celo docs page. And then for the developers who are super new to the Web3 world, I would also recommend Figment Learn Pathway. If you just like Google Figment Learn, they have like some really good like step-by-step pathways and how to get up and running with the Web3 like through Celo. So it's really good kind of like onboarding avenue as well.
And all of us are available at the Discord channel. So please join Discord channel if you want to chat with us. And then if you have questions. Ila.
Yeah, totally. I was just gonna say, for sure, connect with us on Discord. We're there. We're eager to answer your questions and to have you join the community. I think we've mentioned this at different times during this discussion as well. But the Celo community, I think, is so awesome and such a key, like, integral part of why this platform is awesome as well. And it's really exciting to have, hopefully, all of you listening joining us as part of this journey. So definitely connect with us on Discord. And yeah, maybe adding as well, like, hopefully see you at the next Tech Talks, which are another great way of like learning about different pieces of the platform. And that's all for me. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Well, we're not done yet because I do have like a fun speed questions, fill the blank questions. So when I work on Celo devs and the song I hear is ... Would you ladies please fill the blank? Let's start with you, Amy.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this one for a while. I was like scrolling through Spotify when I saw this was a potential question. Yeah, I guess I spend more time supporting dApp developers than actually like building my own dApps. But something that like what I would hope people would be hearing would be something like the Beach Boys' "Good Vibrations." Like I kind of see like the vibrations being like the like external energy coming from the support of the community and knowing that we're building something that's super interoperable and all building together toward this larger mission of financial prosperity. So that's what I hope.
Okay,
Go ahead,
I would say we were playing the mute game of like, oh wait, is the other person going? Okay, this is like my go-to always. I would say "I Feel Love" by Donna Summer because it's a great song, and I don't know, it's like the perfect, coding beats when you're in the zone, and it's like, yeah, Donna Summer gets it. Okay, that's it. I'm not sure.
Mine is nothing quite as nice or elegant. I have a playlist from an old coworker, Brian. Thank you, Brian, for the many years of millennium throwback hip hop. And this is like my coding playlist for the last 6 years or something. And so this includes wonderful classic music such as Hot in Here, The Next Episode, Pimp Juice, Dead Boys. I'm not very good at listening to like lyrics, so I don't really know what they're saying half the time, and so it's really good for me to code. And when I'm like in it, I like code so fast, it just like comes out. So that's my playlist.
Yeah, I guess I should have clarified. Is it like the music we're actually listening to while developing, or like what song it inspires? Because those might be different.
Yeah. I guess when I prepared this speed question, because usually when I develop, I have the song like a game song, like a game day song, right? I'm ready. Yeah.
Those are still my songs. I've been trained over years. It's just like, yeah. I'll share this playlist if you want.
Yes, please. The second question is, you're a Celo developer because you have ... It could be a habit. It could be a item that you own. It could be something that you're looking at, right? Fill the blank, please. You're a Celo developer because you have
the monorepo setup. That was my first thought.
That's very like operational, like practical one. I was going to say you've attended one of Judy's amazing tech talks.
Yes.
Mine's like so cheesy. I'm sorry. This is just who I am. I was like, oh, you felt a warm and fuzzy feeling of community while you're building stuff. But I'm sorry. Everybody is like, I'm out.
I am all about cheesiness. One more question. Actually, I have two more. What I most love about working on Celo is. What do you love most about working on Celo?
I would echo what Ela had mentioned earlier, which is just the team and the community, working with really passionate people. I think Celo, just in general, attracts very mission-oriented, intelligent, and curious individuals, which has been just really fun to work with.
Oh, I am so intuitive, like a self-bragging. This is why I chose the team intro to Labs team and the community video right at the beginning of this live stream. Barbara.
I would say, can I just plus one? Is that cheating? I can say it in a different way. I can say it a different way. Like, I enjoy the people. I think like I'm a pretty strong believer that you invest in people and you invest in teams, and with the right like people and everything, like ideas will come as well. And so I think the Celo community has great people and great ideas as a result.
Last question, I'm gonna put in you on the top. Did you know I can now build ... with the latest contract keys?
Maybe I would say soon you can build with Celo, like starting in a couple of weeks. We're on testnet right now, so on Alpha Horus. But that'll be really exciting to see all of the different dApps that are coming out that are starting to build this stablecoin ecosystem and like really leverage that. So I think that'll be exciting.
Yeah, and there's also the Wallet Connect code that has been integrated in the contract kit. So if you wanted to put that into your own wallet, the connecting piece, that's ready to go-ish. So.
Yeah, and just building off of that, just being able to use the React hook, they use contract kit React hook to bring all the different wallets into your dApp, I would say.
Well, it's been wonderful to have all of you today, and I had a lot of fun. I think the Women's History Month could be every month, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you all for joining, and thank you to live audience tuning to this live show today. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Judy.